What's up, everybody? Welcome to Going Through It. I'm Kenichi. This is a podcast where we talk about all the ish we go through in life in hopes of letting you know that you're not alone on this journey. Also, it's very important that we educate ourselves on a variety of topics. That's why I'm so excited for our guest today. We have the Shrout family, and they practice polyandry. So I want to welcome Alexia and her two husbands, Doug and Jacob. Hi, guys.
Hello.
How are you guys?
Great.
Good.
So I want to start off by explaining what polyandry is. Can you guys give us a little insight into that?
So polyandry is when a female has two husbands.
Mm-hmm. And what's the difference between like polyamory and polyandry, would you say, in your situation?
Well, polyamory, so more is many loves.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not sure if there's really a difference. It'd really be essentially the same.
Okay, so is the dynamic, are your two husbands involved or is it just you? I think that's what I'm trying to ask.
Okay, so yeah, we have a V relationship, so they're not romantically involved.
Okay, perfect. And also, why it's so important, I think, to hear your story is because we see in the media just one form of love, right? The mainstream ideal of heterosexual love. And I think it's very important to have a variety of portrayals, because when you don't fit into that box, you might feel bad, you might feel guilty about yourself. And I'm a big supporter of people loving themselves and having the ability to live their lives in the way in which they should and they want to, as long as it's not harming anyone and it's not promoting hate. So I'm really happy you guys are going to share your lifestyle with us and educate us a little bit.
Absolutely.
So how did this all start?
So Doug and I have had a couple of girlfriends previously before Jake came into the picture.
Okay.
And then when Jake came in the picture, we kind of questioned like, well, this is another male, it's different. I talked to Doug about dating him, and we were kind of iffy about it at first. And then when he came around, we sat down, discussed some things, and we didn't realize that polyamorous was a thing. We kind of always just lived our life like that style.
Yeah.
What made me start to question it is when I got with Jake, so many people were angry that I had another man and it wasn't a female. When it was a female, nobody questioned it. They said, oh, that's so cool, whatever, you're a badass, whatever.
Yeah.
And I was like, what is this? Why are people so angry that I'm with another man? So I actually started Googling it. And then I realized there is a whole entire community out there. And then once I found out that, then I realized I had found myself, this is what the lifestyle is meant for me. And then I felt, like I said, I found myself, and I wasn't, like you had just described, ashamed or anything like that.
Yeah. So Doug, what did Alexia say to make you feel comfortable? And what is it about yourself? Because I feel like for a lot of men, it would be like, yeah, I was able to have multiple girlfriends, and now my wife is going to have another man. So what was that like for you, coming to terms with the new dynamic?
I mean, for us, it was just more about, does somebody having feelings or falling in love with another person change the way they feel about you? And for me, the answer was no. That do I feel any less from Alexia, in our situation? And it just didn't. I think as people, you can love multiple people. It doesn't have to be one specific person. People relate together on so many different aspects in life that sometimes somebody else may connect in a different way than you're connecting with that person. And, that's okay. Yeah.
So Jacob, dating Alexia, knowing she was already with Doug, what was it like for you coming into, they already had their groove going, right? So how did you fit in?
Well, I was originally friends with Alexia. Like, I knew about her relationships.
Okay.
I knew she dated other women. I was there when it was happening. So from an early age, I'd always been attracted to all types of people. you know, and
That's
I always
awesome,
thought,
by the way. Yeah.
well, I always thought in my head, it was just like, why do I have to always be with one person? Even if I'm not do those things with Doug, it doesn't mean that I don't care about him.
Mm-hmm.
You know, people look at it about to be like, how could you do this? You know, how could you share your girl with another man? And I don't look at it that way. So, I mean,
And we always talk about, you know, people are always like, well, I can't share. And it's like, yeah, but we're not each other's property.
I was just going to say
We're
that
our
I
own
think
individual people. So it's not just about sharing, it's just about coming together and becoming community.
I never looked at it like that either. Like, Doug is like, I always like being around him. You know, I feel like if I was going to be in this relationship, I at least have to have a good relationship with him.
Yeah.
Even when I was friends with Alexia and I would always come around, you know, I never got that sense that he was trying to be that intimidating husband. Like, this is my wife and she has to do this and this. And he was just
like
always,
if he owns her, she
right,
wasn't his
he was
property.
always genuine with me, and he always made me feel welcomed at his house. So I was ultimately comfortable with him even before we started dating.
Wow. Okay. I think that is amazing and so just big of you guys just to be able to come to that understanding, because I don't think it's a common thing. Maybe it is, and I'm not exposed to it. That's why I say I'm learning so much today, but I don't think.
I think that here's the thing with like our community, the poly community. Nobody came out to us until we started talking and telling about our story. So I think it's a lot more common than people realize, but everybody's in hiding because, you know, look what happened when I came out. I had a business partner that said, you know, you're making our business look bad. I'm thinking about selling my half. So, you know, people are scared to be themselves and who they truly are because they're just scared about how society is going to look at them. So it is a lot more common than a lot of people realize.
Yeah. And that's what I was saying. Like, it's important to have different portrayals of love because there's not just that one heterosexual version of it. You can have a healthy relationship in polygamy, you know, whether that be multiple wives, multiple husbands, or just a variety of ways to love people. And I think as soon as society, we realize that, it will be better for us. So I just want to go over a few other things with you guys. Like you said, your business partner, she had a problem with it. So what was coming out? Like, at what point did you decide, I'm no longer going to live in hiding? I'm just going to be open about having two husbands?
So we essentially, a lot of our close friends knew because Jake and I were best friends for like 3 years and we all hung out with the same group of people. They all grew up together. So everybody kind of already knew. But what really came out is we did an episode for a show, and that's when we truly were out.
Yeah.
Thousands, millions of people seen it. We didn't realize how big the show was. So, but I think it was a big weight lifted off of our shoulders. And
I can imagine.
I don't know if Doug felt the same way because his, you know, work knows now, so he doesn't feel like he can speak freely. We can all be free now. It feels like that we did that.
So you mentioned his boss and his coworkers are aware. Did they treat you any differently, Doug, when you went in? Was there a conversation?
I mean, I work in a really white collar environment, you know, so the norms are important there. As much as I disagree with that, but you know, that is what it is. And my boss insinuated that he knew without, you know, coming
right out.
Yeah, you know, and just, oh, it's okay, whatever people want to do to be happy as long as you're a good person, and you know, those kind of things, which I appreciated because that's, you know, a lot of how I live my life. So they kind of came out and told me they knew without directly saying it to not feel so awkward about it.
Yeah, what did he say? Gay people we're fine with gay people, we're fine with people with multiple partners. Like just randomly trying to throw
like a
wink. Right.
I love that. Okay, so what we see in mainstream media when it comes to polygamy is usually polygyny, right? The man having two wives, and then it's usually in a negative light. So it's, for example, Warren Jeffs and the FLDS. How do you guys feel about, well, let me go back. I think there were actually a few positive shows. I don't know if you heard of Big Love on HBO or TLC, Sister Wives.
Yeah.
But
Yes.
that's the only positive portrayal in mainstream media that I could think of. So what do you guys think about all the negativity surrounding polygamy?
I mean, what they have going on is their own story. So I feel
Mhm.
like that's why I want to tell our story so people realize this is not how it is. I always refer to polygamy religion based. I don't know how true that is, but I
Yeah.
always just tell people, you know, when they're like polygamy, I'm like, well, we're not religion based.
Mhm.
We're, you know, hippies, free love based. That's
Yeah.
basically how I describe
We don't
it.
categorize
Yeah.
ourselves with those.
Yeah,
type of
we
people who
don't. I mean,
practice their
I'm
style.
sorry, I didn't hear you. Can you say that one more time?
Yeah, I mean, our biggest thing is stay in your own lane. So
Mhm.
I don't speak about what's going on over there. You know, if somebody brings it up, I always say that's not how we work. This is our story. So it's not in the, you know, keep it, whatever they have going on TV is their own thing, and then this is ours. Everybody's set
Yeah.
up differently, so it's hard to try to be
So
like,
you
we're the
don't-
face of polyamorous. You know, everybody's
Yeah.
relationship is set up differently.
So you don't feel jaded by the impression people have of polygamists?
Nope.
No, I mean, and some people, the way they may practice it or their beliefs are obviously different than ours.
Mhm.
But if who's involved in it is truly happy, if there's some suppression and controllingness and things like that, and because you see the shows to where they're, saving the women from those type of situations and making them escape and that kind of thing. If that kind of stuff's going on, then that's something that we wouldn't support. But if the people that are involved in it or experiencing it and they're truly happy, not just saying it, they really are happy, then, to each their own, and I'm happy for them.
Yeah.
What I really feel from it too is, I've seen those shows, and I feel like the media also Hollywoods it up a little bit, like where they like make it drama filled.
Mhm.
It's like if you really look at our story, like you can see what they practice, and like Alexia said though, but it's like we have a normal relationship like any other like man and woman would have. We have fights, we do things with the kids, we go out together to the movies. So what you see on TV is what the media wants you to see, just like they do with everything else.
Yeah.
You don't really get to see how they really live
How
their
it's really
lives.
true. Yeah.
So when you're just like, oh, you're just with multiple people, you must have all these problems, and it's just like, not really.
Yeah. So you mentioned you're not based in faith, but do you guys practice any religion?
No.
No.
Did you grow up religious or?
My parents and really my dad's side of the family were pretty heavy into Christianity.
Mhm.
I have my thoughts about religion, and I honestly just break it down to simple principles. Be a good person, treat people well, and that's all you can ask. Whatever you want to believe to make you follow those things or to help you follow those things, then if you
So be it.
yeah, exactly. If you're Jewish, if you're Christian, if you're Catholic, whatever the case may be, as long as you're treating other people with respect and not hurting them in any way, then that's okay. If
Yep.
believing in God is what helps you do those things, then again, I'll be happy for you as long as you're being true.
Yeah, and I like that you said that, because there are the people that they don't practice religion, but they condemn people that do. So I like that you're saying like whatever makes you happy, whatever floats your boat. It's not for me, but if it's for you, it's for you. So I like that you said that.
We
Just be
stay
a
in our
good
own
person.
lane. Yeah, we stay in our own lane. We're not here to judge anybody.
Just be a good person. That's all I ask of other people.
So what is the dynamic of your relationship basically? Because usually it's like the man is the head of the household. He makes the decisions in the typical relationship, right? So what is it like for you guys?
So originally it was set up, they have the hierarchy and the polyamorous. We used to have that set up. Now it's more equal.
Wait, go back a little. So hierarchy, can you explain that to me? Like how was it?
Yeah, so the hierarchy is like when you have a primary partner.
Okay.
So that would be like me and Doug, and we made the big decisions, the final decisions, that kind of stuff. Over the last couple of years, though, that's kind of fallen away. We're more all just equal partners.
Okay. And how long have you guys been together? The three of you together?
This past August was 8 years.
Wow. That's a good amount of time. And you were with Doug for how long before that in
We've
total?
been together like 15 years.
Oh my goodness. So you
Yeah, we're high school sweethearts, actually.
high school sweethearts?
Yes.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing. Especially in these times where I feel like a lot of relationships don't make it. So let's just go to that. Any secrets?
And honestly, communication is the
Mm,
number one thing. You have to be able to communicate with you and being true about your communication. I mean, a lot of people sit there and they say they talk, but they're not really saying what they feel.
yeah.
And you bottle that up, and then that eventually explodes, and then you get in arguments and fights and so on and so forth. If you're really true about what you're feeling and you can express that, calmly and let the other person kind of receive what you're saying, then
Mhm.
a lot of things can be worked out if there's a problem.
So when you guys do have disagreements, how is the topic broached?
We do, we've been really busy lately, but if there's major things that are going on, we have like once a month, couple weeks, sometimes, depends how big major it is. We'll have check-ins. We'll do like little family meetings. We'll sit down and talk about what's going on, write it down, those kind of things.
Mhm.
The smaller things, we're like, hey, this is what's going on. We used to be really bad with having to immediately fix it. Now
Okay.
we're like, hey, we're upset right now. This is what's going on. All right. It could take up to a couple days to fix one problem.
Mhm.
But we know once you're screaming and yelling at each other, you're not getting anywhere. Nobody's
Anything
hearing each other.
solves. So is
Yes.
there ever a scenario where it's 2 against 1? Is there such a thing as silent treatment in the household? Like, how does that work?
Yeah. So like if I mess up, then it's gonna be with both of them. So I don't think that really happens too often though. But it can sometimes it can it was a big thing when we did our monthly check-ins.
Mhm.
We would do it all together, and then I felt ganged up on. So I was like, maybe this isn't working out. And they didn't do it on purpose. They were just saying, hey, this is what's bothering you. It's like, okay, I can only take so many of this is what's going on, so many coming from different angles.
Mhm.
So we definitely separate that where we do our own individual kind of check-ins thing.
Okay.
The way I look at it is too is because people always ask me that question as well. But I'd be like, well, what do you do if, when they get into their arguments? There are some times in our relationship where Alexia and Doug are going through certain things where I'm like, I don't really add my opinion because it's like, it's their issues. Same thing
So you
with
try to
me.
stay neutral.
Yeah, both of them do.
Yeah, that's
they
really
really do.
important.
Yeah, they really do.
Well, there are some times though that Doug has had to like say, hey man, you need to reel it back a little bit on what you're doing. And I respect him for saying that to me and be like, look, maybe you shouldn't have gone about it this way.
Mhm.
He doesn't put me down. He doesn't sit there and say that it's your fault. He's just like, hey man, you need to be aware of what you're doing. And
Yeah.
he gives me that little nudge and I'm just like, well, if he's saying it, then obviously it's an issue.
Yeah.
Because he doesn't really like have to say too much.
He doesn't say much.
To get this point across.
So what I'm vibing here is like you guys are like best friends. Would you say that?
I would say all of us are best friends.
Okay.
We don't even really we have all the same friends.
Mhm.
We do everything together.
But me and Doug,
We don't really have like individual, I don't know how to describe it. We don't have like really too much individual friends without each other. We're always together.
That's so funny. So with that being said, how do date nights work? Do you have your individual date nights?
We do a mixture of all. Sometimes because having that one-on-one time is important too. With intimate conversations or whatever the case may be, and really scheduling is a hard thing too. But
Yeah, we don't really schedule too much. We're like, hey, we got time right now, and that's kind of with like all of us. Like, hey, we got time now, and Doug's a big introvert anyways, so he's not up to going out a whole bunch anyways. So me and Doug will do like, hey, even if we're really busy, like, hey, let's run to the store together. That's like our time to talk about things or whatever. We take those it's all about the little moments. It's not these grand, huge, elaborate dates all the time.
But we do those as well too.
Yeah.
All three of us will go out to dinner, we'll go to the movies, we'll
Go on vacation together.
Go on vacation, whatever the case may be, we still do those things. Any of the big traveling things, going to Vegas or whatever, that's done with all three of us, not just one or the other.
Yeah. So is there ever like public display of affection between the three of you?
Yeah. I mean,
If you're paying attention.
Yeah, I don't
you
think
pay
anybody,
attention-
we're not just like, I mean, we're in our 30s. We're not sitting there making out in front of
Like, look at us. Yeah.
Well, one time we were at Cedar Point and we were in line with my sister. My sister's like, you should just start making out with both of them. I was like, that's not what we do. Like, that's not us at all.
I mean, it kind of would be fun just to see everyone's, reaction to it. But okay, so that's awesome though. So vacation. That leads me to, you guys have kids. How many kids do you guys have?
3.
3. And the youngest is 2. I think you were telling me, right? So young and cute. So the dynamic with that. So Doug, you say you work. Do the two of you work as well?
Yeah. So Doug works during the day. He has the, typical 9-to-5 job.
Mm-hmm.
I work Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday from 2 to 7. I work really little hours because I just like getting out of the house. Like I don't even have to work. I just want to because I put a lot into my career, so I don't want to just give that up.
Mm-hmm.
And then Jake works thirds. So we kind of each individually work shifts where we don't need to have daycare and stuff like that. We're very
So the
very
kids are always
self-supporting.
with one of you guys?
Yes, always.
Okay. And biologically, is it just with Doug? Are they just Doug's or?
So this is how we're going about it. They're both dad.
Yeah.
So, I mean, everybody was there when she was delivered. Everybody's changing diapers. Everybody was up with her in the middle of the night while she was screaming. So that's what, mothers and fathers do.
Yeah. She actually did something the other day, too. She came up to both me and Doug and grabbed both of our legs and was just like, Daddy. She don't know the difference. She doesn't know.
Yeah. I mean, they learn things, right? It's not, they're not born thinking that's weird or anything like that.
Absolutely.
So it's normal for her. And this is kind of a weird question, but I'm sure people would be curious. God forbid, sorry, that's just my religion. Anything happens, would the other party still be able to see the children?
I mean, absolutely.
Yeah,
You can't, that's psychological stuff you don't want to mess with. I mean, just because you're angry, you're over it, doesn't mean that you have to change the whole kid's entire life. I mean, they still need to see that person. They still, like I said, everybody's been there since day one.
Yeah, my mom treats them like they're her grandkids, even though they don't call her grandma because, that's their choice though. But she still treats them. She takes them camping, goes to the movies, buys, presents for them on their birthdays, all that other stuff. So, if it would be really hard because I've known the boys since what?
You're picking them up from preschool.
Yeah, her oldest was
That's really young. Yeah.
14.
Yeah,
So
so they've all grown up with.
It's like all their life, basically.
Yeah.
Wow. So how did you explain it to them? Because they were so young. Did you really have to?
They're young, but they're still smart.
Right.
They know.
And I think them being young was a bit of an advantage for us.
Wait, I'm having problems hearing you guys again now.
Sorry. I think for them, Jake being involved when they were so young that it's just normal for them. I had a little fear here or there, like how would school think and their friends and getting bullied and stuff like that. And honestly, I think a lot of it's just to do with the new generation. They just don't care.
So accepting,
They
really
don't.
Care. They just, okay, cool. Hey, all right. We're going to go do something.
So they're pretty open about it at school.
Yeah.
When that episode came out, I mean, it was all over Snap. I mean, everybody knows now.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
They were all messaging the kids and stuff.
Yeah. It went from, thinking this was going to be some just minor thing in the UK that people were going to watch and we never really hear about it to I'm going around town and people are like, is that guy? Or, you know, those kind of things.
I mean, that's how I found you guys, and I was just fascinated by you guys. So I mean, it's out there.
Yeah, for sure. There's no more hiding anymore, that's for sure.
No, but I think honestly, I think it's really cool that it blew up like that, because it's so many people out there that will have a new understanding of what it means to be polygamous, you know?
I had a friend, she said like her mom is like super anti all this, but when they watched that, she literally was like, that is so beautiful. So I definitely think, you know, we're not going to change everybody's mind, but I think it helps to show how normal of a family we are. We still have moms, we still have dads, our kids still get grounded, we still have chores around that, you know, we're like everybody else.
Yeah, people said, you know, oh, you should have someone come in and record your lives and all that. And I'm like, it's no different than your life.
There's nothing else going on.
Yeah. So what are some of the pros and cons to polyandry or polygamy in general?
I mean, pros are, you know, a village can raise a family a lot better than having the ability that not having to deal with daycare and childcare is a huge advantage. Not
so
only
expensive childcare, yeah.
Yeah, and you know, just knowing who's taking care of your kids too. You hear all those crazy stories of, you know, people that are in childcare that are hitting kids or whatever the case may be. We don't have to worry about those things. You know, getting that second opinion on things too, when it's just in your household is nice. You know, you get somebody that's involved in both sides of the people, so they can give opinion based on experience, whereas you go and ask a friend, your best friend, I mean, what is that friend going to do? They're going to side with whatever you're saying because they're your best friend. You know? So
I like the financial stability of money constantly coming in. I mean, every week there's money flowing in, so that's nice for sure. It's nice to have Jacob's family is more of a steady family, more all together. So it's nice to have that support system as me and Doug, our family is not all there all the time. So some sort of normal consistency, I feel like, is what Jake's family can give us. Yeah, so it's nice to have that.
Yeah, and the cons?
Sometimes it gets a little stressful with having an extra partner.
Yeah, dealing with the extra emotion.
Yeah.
That's why we're actually closed. We're not even close to wanting anybody else. And it'd be nice and we have crushes and stuff, but then you think about it's like, man, all the BS that comes with it. You know, they have stuff personally going on in their lives, and it's like, do you want to take on that person too?
Everyone comes with baggage, sort of baggage, right?
Yeah, and it's like we can only take so much. So, you know, and if both of them are in a bad mood, it's kind of like, okay, well, I guess I'll just not talk to anybody today, you know? So
I can't even imagine that. It's like two of them and still it's like,
right.
Okay.
It happens. Dealing with other people's emotions, probably. And not even a con, it's just more work.
Yes. Yeah. Agreed.
It's
worth it though to us now.
The end is definitely worth it. But yeah, so you could be dealing with somebody's, you know, a tough emotional day, and then, you know, the other person comes home and they're having a tough emotional day, and it's like, oh man, here we go again. So that part of it can be a bit of work, but you know, it just helps you grow, understand, you know, where people are coming from and how to handle things. You know, I think we're better equipped than most to handle almost anything thrown at us, because we really have we've broken every norm. You know, Alexia and I had our son Skylar when we were still in high school, and you know that, oh, your life is going to be so hard. It's going to be
all the odds. Yeah,
and that's exactly what we did. You know, and not that I don't have empathy towards people's lives and the problems that they're having, but when people give me their story, I just kind of be like, well, you know, come on, man, I did this, so you can do it too. Just work real hard, and
like you have no excuse.
That cliche thing,
yeah,
you know,
right. No excuses.
Exactly. You know.
Yeah. So has there ever been a period that, say, one of you was in a funk for a significant period of time? How did the other two like just help uplift and support that person through it?
You know, I don't know if there's ever really been like a long-term like depression type thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's the nice part about having that second person is you have somebody helping you get through that, but then you have another person helping you get through that.
It's true.
And that really helps things speed along to it's going to be okay, you know, and I think that's
Hearing it over and over
a
again.
huge pro of
It's
this
very
type of
true.
relationship.
That's very true.
So emotionally, what are some ways you think your kids are going to benefit from having two dads?
So I've noticed, like, my oldest son, since I'm mom, he has a harder time opening up to me, or maybe even to Doug. But I've noticed he's come to Jake and they've had conversations that like me or we wouldn't have had with him normally. So that was nice, at least, even if he doesn't feel comfortable talking to me and Doug, that he can at least have a safe space to go to.
Someone you trust, which is so important,
Exactly. Right.
What I always did what my mom did was, you know, tell me what you're going through. Like, I'm going to have to say something, but, you know, I'm here to listen to you and not like automatically put you down or judge you and say what you're doing is wrong.
Yeah.
So I reflect that on him. Now, mind you, I always tell him, you know, anything you do tell me, I have to tell your parents. Right?
At least you're honest with him, so he's aware of that. It's not like he's coming to confide in you and then you're breaking his trust.
Right. Yeah.
And that all goes to communication.
Even though I think the other thing that the kids benefit from is seeing how hard we all work to get what we want and need in life. So it teaches them like, hey, my parents can do this, you know, I can do it too. Because as a young age, especially in their teenage years, they learn all of those things. And then as they grow into an adult, they take them what they can and, you know, they turn it into what they do. So like being good in school or going and getting a job and not leeching off of people for the rest of their lives.
Yeah. I'm glad that the kids have his mom too for extra support and stuff like that. And a stable grandmother in their life.
That's awesome. And I think what I gather is all three of you have very different personalities. So your kids just being able to experience how you may handle something or the other, it's beneficial because they're learning multiple aspects of interacting with people right at home. And I think that's important.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean that being able to relate with people in different ways is a great way to grow.
I agree. Well said, babe.
So just a fun question for you guys. Doug and Jacob, do you ever share clothes?
No, I'm
Doug's an extra large, Jake's a medium. Actually, me and Jake will share t-shirts. Me and Jake are the same size.
Yeah. Because I feel like if I had a sister wife or something, I would totally be like, okay, I'm borrowing this today. You know?
Yeah, no.
So what's yours is yours. Like, okay, got it. And
I mean, he does take my socks, though. So I don't know how that works.
You guys all have black socks. It's like the worst.
Do you guys sleep in the same bed?
Yeah, we have a California king size bed.
That's huge. And does it sometimes still feel too small?
For me, especially like if it gets super chilly, they naturally just start like coming in, and I don't think they realize it. It's just body heat, so they're trying to survive.
The last thing I just want to ask, what do you guys want people to walk away from this interview with?
I think we already kind of touched base with that earlier with just, you know, we're normal. We're like everybody else, you know. Be kind. You never know what any kind of battle anybody is going through. So, you know, don't think of us like a bunch of freaks that just sit around and have, you know, holding hands and cuddle sessions all day. Like, we have kids, we have jobs, we are normal like everybody else, and we have feelings like everybody else.
Yeah, and you know, for me, it's be real with yourself, and I think that's something people really struggle with. You know, they deep inside they really think about what they feel, but they don't express it because they may be worrying about what somebody else might think or what they might say or the reactions to them. You know, that's okay. Let them. You can't control how they're going to act, how they're going to feel, how they're going to react, but you can control how you are. And if you can express that, you'll be much happier.
I think if there's one thing I have to add that, like, to feed off of Doug, to people to take from our relationship is be honest with who you love. If you sit there and you go and have feelings for somebody that you can't openly be honest with, and not just try it out. Like if you could tell your person about to be like, hey, you know, what do you think about so-and-so? Because I'm kind of like having feelings for them. You know, you got to live your life the way that you want to. You can't constantly, you know, do those what ifs. Like, what if I could have a relationship with this person? You know,
True story. Where would we be? We wouldn't have done it.
You know, take it from me. I met Alexia, and somebody was just like, "Oh, she already has somebody," and I was like, "Well, that's not what I was going for, but okay then." It eventually turned into what it is. You know,
You never know.
I think one thing people can learn from you is okay that you don't fit into a box, you know, make your own life, and that's okay. You don't have to fit into the box that society tells you you need to be in.
There is no one way to live life. That's for sure.
And I tell people all the time, you know, people are like, oh, you should do it this way, or you're not doing it right, or nobody knows what's right or wrong.
Yeah, we don't have the answers.
We all here doing it, just
Everybody
trying.
is just basing it off the person before them. So if we are truly, you know, saying how we feel and living the life that we want to live, then hopefully people after us will realize it's okay to be that way too.
And what I appreciate about you guys, I think a lot of times when people think of polygamy, they think of sexual stuff. And from what I can gather, it's just way more than that. It's an actual family and
oh my gosh,
values.
It is so deep. It is so much deeper than that. I definitely feel like that's also what I want people to get, is definitely way more than people just looking in the bedroom.
And I think like, okay, yeah, that's all well and good, but then you have to deal with the emotions, right? That's a lot. So if it was just about sex, I don't think anyone would be in it, because that passes, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So
and people would be less interested, you know.
after a while. So yeah, I just want to, before we go, is there anything else that you guys want to say that you might have felt that I didn't ask?
No, I'm good.
I think you covered it well. I mean, you know, again, we're a normal family. We do normal things. We have our good moments and our bad moments, definitely more good than bad. And, you know, just communication. That's everything.
And you guys are determined to grow old together.
Oh,
absolutely.
Sure.
maybe I don't know. I didn't think that far yet.
Yeah, you're in the moment kind of guy. That's funny. All right. Well, thank you guys so much for coming on and going through it with us and just educating us, because this is something that I'm not well versed on. And I think I learned a lot for myself. And I think our audience can learn so much from you guys as well. So where can they find you?
What do you mean?
Like Instagram, like where can they follow you?
I was like, I'm not giving my address.
No, oh my God, stalkers. No.
I live in Ohio. Ron James is my neighbor.
Oh my God, stop. Just 3 peas in a pod. You could definitely list it if you wanted.
Yeah, I'll spell it out because it's a little different of a spelling. And you don't have a website or a YouTube channel by any chance?
No, we do not. I just have the follow our family, totally kid appropriate. So if any kids, under 18 want to look at it, there's anything that's questionable or anything like that on there. Totally family friendly. So
and would you be open to people reaching out and asking questions if they had any questions?
Absolutely. I run a Toledo Bowling Green polyamorous group, so I get tons of messages on there too as well. A bunch of questions. I don't mind answering them at all. Okay. I'm just here to spread knowledge. Correct knowledge as well. Just reading something on the internet and be like, oh, that must be how it is. So,
and making assumptions. So,
exactly.
Yeah. So thank you guys again, Alexia, Doug, and Jacob. I appreciate it so much. And I'm looking forward to just seeing what people think of this interview.
Absolutely.
Thank you guys so much for going through it with Kenichi. Come back next week to see what else I'm going through. Until next time, bye.